Hello, this video is a continuation of the answer booklet 2 for the skills assessment for ICT NWK 401, and we've just finished putting in a directory structure, and we've also created a DFS wallpapers share. I'm going to add a couple of extra shares to that to allow us to do things like the folder redirection, and we're going to create a home directory that we can redirect folders into, profile directory, that sort of stuff. And I'm going to stick it in this same distributed file system. Okay, so to our main server, and looking at the tools and going to the DFS management, and expanding out and looking at our namespace, you can see here we've got a wallpapers folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two additional folders, one for a home directory and one for profiles. So right mouse click on that and go new folder. I'm going to call this home directory, and we're going to add a target. I'm going to browse. This is the main server, and we don't have a home share, so we're going to create a new shared folder. So I'm going to go new shared folder. Everybody's got those sorts of permissions, or I can go custom permissions. If I look at custom, I'll remove everyone. I'll add the administrators group and give them full control, and then I'll add authenticated users. And I'll give them change level. And the share name, we haven't created it yet, so let's go home. And the path of this is going to be on drive R. And we're going to make a new folder and call it home. And we're going to use the custom permissions on that. Same thing. Yep, so that's the permissions we put on. That's good. And that's for the in drive R on the main server. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Okay, so there's our first target. We're going to do the same thing for our backup server to add it into the distributed file system. So I changed this to a backup server. Advanced, find now. There's our backup server. So now we're looking at the backup server. We're going to create a new shared folder, a home directory. We're going to use custom permissions. Remove everyone, add in the administrator group, and give them full control, and then add in the authenticated users. Give them change and read. So that's the permissions, and let's create the folder. So on drive M, let's create a new folder called home. So that's the folder we want. That's the permissions we want. Yep, that's right. That's good. So we'll go OK. That creates the home folder and permissions. So we share that target onto this target here. So now we've got the two targets for the home folder in the namespace. One to the main server home share and one to the backup home share. Okay. Replication group. Yes, we create a replication group. It's called home. It's those two. The primary member is going to be the main server. We're going to use a full mesh, full bandwidth, and replicate on an as needed basis. That's a summary. So let's create it. It's all successful. So now we've got the two folders, and the other one we want is a profiles directory. So we're going to go new folder, profiles. We're going to create a new target, and we want to create a new share called profiles, and it's going to have the custom permissions. Remove everyone, add in administrators group. There it is. Give them full control, add in authenticated users. That one. Give them change and read. Let's go and create the share on drive R and make a new folder. Call it profiles. That's the permissions that we've put on. Yep, that's it. It's going on to that. Okay. Oh, it said creating profiles, browse on the main server, use customized permissions. Why did it have a problem with that? Browse, driver, profiles. That's the folder. The shared folder cannot be created. The name has already been shared. Okay, so we've already got a profiles share somewhere. Okay, so let's give it a different share name. Let's go main server SVR profiles. That's okay. Oh, there is a folder there called profiles, which I must have created before. Anyway, so this is going to be called main server profiles. I could have just picked that one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So there is a profile share on the server, but it's not actually in this namespace. So this namespace has a profiles called main server profiles now. So I'll have a choice of places to actually place the profiles. That's interesting. So there's the first target. Let's add in the second server, advanced, find now, and go to the backup server. There it is. So now we're on the backup server. We're going to go a new shared folder, and I'll just call this backup server profiles. And the location, I'm going to browse, put it on drive M, and create a new folder and call it profiles. And I'm going to use custom permissions. I'm going to remove everyone, add in the administrator group. There's the administrators group. And I'll give them full control. And I'm adding the authenticated users. That's that one, yep. And I'll give them change level. That's read and write. So customize permissions on a profile folder with a share name of backup server profiles on the backup server. So that's what the target. So now that's the second target on this profiles that folder that's in our namespace. So we're going to create a replication group for profiles. They're the two targets. The primary member is going to be the main server. Going to use a full mesh, replicate continuously, full bandwidth. There's a summary. We create it. It's all created successfully. Okay, so expanding out our replication, we can see we've got the replication, home, profiles, wallpapers, and domain system volume. There's our folders, home, profiles, and wallpapers. So now we've got, in our distributed file system, folders, additional folders that we can use in the following folder redirection, for configuring system policies and scripts. So what we're going to do is, there's probably a third, there's another one we can put in there too, called MSIs. So let's put that one in as well. I didn't think of that one. So back to here, let's create another folder, new. I'm just going to call it MSIs. Going to add a folder target. Browse, main server, new shared folder, MSIs, path, drive R, and make a new folder, call it MSIs. Custom permissions. Now MSIs are going to be read-only for authenticated users, because all they're going to do is, the MSI is a Microsoft installer, so this is for us to install software. So I'm going to remove everyone, add in, add administrators group, and they always get full control. I'm going to add in authenticated users. And they're going to get read-only. Okay. So that was the drive R, MSIs folder. Okay. So we've got everything in place, and we're going to go, that's the folder that we've got as a target. There's the first one, so let's add the same thing for the backup server. Change the server to the backup server. And we're going to create a new shared folder called MSIs. And we're going to set the path to drive M and create a new folder called MSIs. And we're going to change the permissions on that folder. Remove everyone, add in the administrators group, and give them full control. We're going to add in the authenticated users and leave them with read only. Okay, so that's the new folder on the backup server. There it is. That's the new target. So now we've got the two targets, main server and backup server, for this MSIs folder in the namespace. Two targets. I'm going to create the replication group. Come on. Okay, next. They're the targets. The primary member is going to be the main server. We're going to use a full mesh, full bandwidth. There's the summary. Let's create it. So it's created. So now we've got the MSIs folder in there as well. Okay, so now we've got all the folders that we need for all the following group policies that we're going to make. Okay, so I can exit out of the DFS management. Let's go back and have a look here. We need folder redirection. Yep. So we need a policy for folder redirection, a policy for preventing unauthorized access, a policy for network drive mapping, a policy for network printer mapping, and a script for installing Google Chrome on staff computers automatically through the network. Doesn't have to be Google Chrome, it could be anything. Means just installing software via group policy. Okay, so first of all, let's get some of our folders populated on our main server. So what we're going to do is what we need to do on our, we need to get the MSIs that we need to deploy out to all the client machines put into this folder, and we've got wallpapers that we could stick in there as well. So the easiest way to do this is creating a shared folder with our host machine. So devices, shared folders, and I just go hit the plus, hit the drop down and go other, and then it's find a folder name. So on my host computer, I'm going to pick the OneDrive resources folder, and it's software, wallpapers, OVA. I'm just going to go everything. So I'll just select this VM resources folder, the whole thing, and I'll make it read only and pick it. So here on my server, I'm going to hit the network button, and it says that network discovery is turned off. So we need to turn it on. You can pick this one here and turn on network discovery. And it finds the backup server. Okay. And it also finds the VBox server. So the VBox server is the one we're really after, because that's my VM resources share from my host machine. So if I go into that, I've got access to it inside my virtual machine here. So the wallpapers, I've got a whole bunch of wallpapers here. So let's just go Control A and copy those to my RAID 5 wallpapers folder. Paste. Okay, so now I've just put a whole bunch of wallpapers into my wallpapers folder on the main server. So of course, these are already going to be on my backup server. So let's go have a quick look. Backup server. Let's go to this PC. Let's go to drive, the mirror drive, and have a look in the wallpapers folder. And there's all they're all there. Okay, from the main server, because they're in a distributed file system. Okay, so the other thing that we need in here is the MSIs. So there's nothing in there at the moment. So back to my VBox VM resources. Software, I think, did I have? I don't think I've actually got. That's ISOs. OVAs. Software. Snort, Starwind, VirtualBox. VoIP software. There's a couple of MSI programs in here that we can use. So like a 3CX phone or Microsoft Teams or something like that, or a Skype meeting app. Okay, so there's a possibility of putting some of those in. Windows Admin Center is an MSI. Okay, so we could also install that. I don't specifically have a folder for MSIs though. Okay, so let me put that up on this VirtualBox. Sorry, on this OneBox resources folder. So let me put that up there at the moment. So if I go back to my host machine, this is so you can see how I actually do it. First of all, I'm going to find some MSIs for testing. There we go. There's a whole bunch of these things. Edit pad light. There's actually not many of them. I thought I had a lot more than that. Okay, Photoshop 7. Notepad++. I'm sure I had more than that. We could, I mean, Edit Pad Light's a really good one to use. Utils. Yeah, not so much as far as... okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, in the OneNote drive, I'm going to create in the VM resources in the software, I'm going to create a new folder and call it MSIs. And in that, I'm going to put did I have MSIs folder in here? Can't see it. There is a 3CX, which would have MSIs in it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just put, say, those things, Control Copy, and I'll stick those into that MSIs folder. Paste. And I might also stick, well, we've already got some of the other software, and see how these are all ticked. They're all being uploaded to that OneDrive resource folder up on the internet, so you can access this now, these things. They'll all be up there fairly shortly. Yep, so they're all up there now. Okay, so back to my machine here. If I back out to resources and back into software, I can now see this MSIs folder, and I've got those files there. So I might put the Edit Pad Lite and the 3CX phone. Actually, I can put all of these things. So let's copy those. And I want to put them on my RAID 5 in my MSIs folder. This is on the main server. If I go paste in there. So if I have a look at my backup server and on the mirrored drive and have a look in the MSIs folder, you'll see those files are now there because it's a distributed file system. Okay, so now we've got files that we can deploy via group policy. And that's all we really need to show at the moment. I wouldn't mind putting a few more in actually. So if I go back to my Actually, if I just go back to my main server and have a look on my VBox share in the software, I was thinking for the I could also put in some of this VoIP stuff as well. So if I put the Skype meeting, the Teams, and say the Windows 15 MSI, we've already got that number 6 one in. So if I copy those ones as well, so copy those and stick them into my RAID 5 MSIs folder. Paste. Now they'll also appear in my there's the 15. There's the Teams ones finally, and the Skype meeting ones, so they have all appeared. Okay, that's what we wanted. You notice that took a little bit longer, probably because the files are a little bit larger. Okay, so took a little bit longer to actually get it from the main server to the backup server via the distributed file system. Okay, we've now got everything set up. So let's go back to our main server. We're finished with setting up the distributed file system, putting the right sorts of files into the right areas. So we've got all the MSIs, Microsoft installing programs, in the MSIs folder, which is now on both machines. We've now got wallpapers in the wallpaper folder, that sort of thing. The other areas, the profiles and home directories, is where we're going to redirect stuff via group policy. So let's go to the group policy. The first thing we want to do is to do a policy for folder redirection. Now there's a couple of ways of doing this. If we have a look at the tools and go to Active Directory users and computers and look at the users, and if we have a look at a typical user here, he's not typical, he's an administrator. I'll look at his properties. On the profile tab here, we can set a profile path and a home folder and what drive letter we want them to go to and all that sort of stuff. So we can do that here on an individual user by user basis, and that's not so much fun, especially if you've got like 10,000 users. Going to have to do this for all 10,000 users this way is obviously not fun. That said, you can, if I copied, this agent here, members is U1. If I copy U1 to U2, and go next, finished. Because I copied him from U1 and U1 is already a member of agents, U2 is now also a member of agents. Okay, because it was a copy. Now you can actually highlight a couple of users or 10,000 users, do a right mouse click and look at the properties, and here I could change the profile for everyone I've got highlighted. So I can set a profile path, I can set a home folder, I can set a login script for whole bunches of users. And so that's actually much more efficient than doing each user individually. So I could highlight I could create entire groups of users and do this too. Or entire organizational units of users and do it too. So that's one option, and it's one of the traditional options, but even so that's still a little bit harder to manage. Okay, so what we do is, instead of managing on a user by user basis or even groups of users or whatever, what we do is we use group policy. So if we go to tools and go down to group policy, there's group policy management. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new group policy that we can apply to, and then we just put the users or the groups into, they're all authenticated users, or we can delineate it via computers rather than users, and we'll have to do that for some of them. So I'm going to create a new group policy here. So I'm going to have on the domain, I'm going to go create a new group policy and link it here. So this is apply folder redirections. Okay, so that's what the name of this policy is. Apply folder redirections, and currently it applies to all users or all computers. We're going to change it to all computers. Now it has to be one or the other, otherwise it doesn't apply. So if I remove all users, do you want to remove this delegation privilege? When I go add, I'm going to add all domain computers. So let's just, can I go domain, check the names, and I'm going to go all domain computers. So it's not domain controllers, it's domain computers. It's all the ones that aren't domain controllers. So this policy, apply folder redirection, is going to apply to all computers that aren't domain controllers. And in order to get a group policy to work, it either needs to be authenticated users or domain computers, one or the other. And the reason for that is when we edit this, if we have a look, you can see that we either apply to users or to computers. So you need one or the other. You can filter this a little bit more by saying that it applies to all domain computers, and I can set just a single group of people that it also complies to. So I might have one group that is just all accountants or something like that, and so it applies to all the accountants' computers and to no one else's. So you can add additional groups in here, or organizational units, or even just a single user. So anyway, right mouse click and edit. Okay, so what we're looking at is redirecting the entire profile. Now the entire profile contains lots and lots of folders, so it's like pictures, videos, desktop, application data, all sorts of stuff. All folders get redirected. So I'm going to do a computer policy, Windows settings. No, I'm going to go administrative templates. I'm going to go down to system. That's what I'm going to do. System, then down to user profiles. Right down there. User profiles. Okay, let's maximize that so we can see what we're doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the administrator's security group to roaming profiles. I don't know whether we need to do that. What we do need to do is set the roaming profile path for all users logged into this computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable that, and they say you've got to use this %username% so that it separates out folders for different users. So in our case, we're going to put this into our DFS system, /domain name, and if you can't remember it, honestly, the easiest thing to do is to go back into your DFS management, expand out your namespace, and I want to put my profiles there. Okay, so what it's going to be is, can I copy that? It's going to be /bmw.local /corp data /profiles. That's what it's going to be. So let's whiz back to our group policy. So it's bmw.local /corp data /profiles /%username%. Oops, percent. Okay. So bmw.local, corp data, profiles, %username%. Let's go check the home. Yep. So that's what the folder redirection is going to be. So we've enabled that. And that works for, like I said, all users, computers, and it will redirect them to, and it's only when they log off that it will do it. Download roaming profiles on primary computer only. I'm going to delete cached copies of roaming profiles so that the roaming profile is not kept on the local computer but only on the server. We can also set the user's home folder, which is also a redirection. So we're going to do that as well. And if I go back to and copy, I want to copy that because it's nice and easy to do that, and stick it in the home folder. Location, it's going to be on the network. There's the path, Control V, but I'm going to change profiles share to the home folder. Whoops, not phome, home. And because it's a home folder, I'm going to change the drive letter and call it, say, H for home. Okay. So I've now created a drive H for all users that log into domain computers to a drive H, which is their home folder, which is in the distributed file system. Okay, so they can put stuff there if they want to. So we probably need to look at the folder redirection. So let's take a screen capture of that. Let's go Control E and put that. This is on the main server, last one. Yep. So in here, I'm going to go insert picture, this device. It's got to be on drive C into the VMs. Insert for main server, and it's the last one, that one there. Enter. So now we've just showed. Nope, that doesn't look like the last one. So it's got to be in the folder redirection. Okay, insert picture, device. So didn't we go Control E? Search for installation main server. Save. So let's change the view of that to details, and we sorted in date order. 2nd of the 11th. That's today, so it's that one. Got to be that one there. That's the one. So now we're showing a picture of folder redirection. We're doing it in a group policy for all users, okay? And I would also put in the one that we did for the roaming profiles as well. So I'd go Control E, This is at 750. So right beside that one, I'm going to go insert picture device, the 750 one, which is that one. And we'll make that smaller. Okay, so what you can see now is that's the home folder and that's the roaming profile path. So we've set a home folder and we've set a roaming profile path back into a distributed file system. Okay, so that's the first one. That solves that. So what we need now is a unauthorized access prevention. Okay. Can we do that on the user profiles? No, what we really want to do is we want to do this on, can we do this on security settings? If I look at account policies, there's the password policy. So at the moment we don't have password policy enforced, and we're going to put that in, and that's going to be our unauthorized prevention. So here we're going to enforce passwords remembered. I'm going to remember the last 20 passwords. The minimum age of the password. Sorry, this is the maximum age. So it will expire in, say, 30 days, every 30 days. The minimum password age. So passwords can be changed after passwords can be changed after 29 days. So once you've changed your password, it'll give you warnings about your password's about to expire and you can change it. So we might go, leave it at 29 days, that'll do. No, maybe we'll give them like a week, so make it 23 days. So for a week before their password expires, it's going to tell them your password is expiring. The password length, we want a minimum of 10 characters, because that's really annoying. Most people have 8, but 10's really annoying. Must meet the password complexity, so we're going to enable it, which means it's got to have upper, lowercase, alphanumeric, and that's it. I don't think it needs a special character. And store the password using reversible encryption. We don't want it stored using reversible encryption. We don't want it reversible. So, okay, so there's our password policy. Let's go Control E and save that. So we're now looking at 754. And on here, we're going to insert picture device, the 754 one. So that's our password policies. Let's go cut. Let's put it there, Control V. Yep, that's better. And so this is our other GPO configurations. So this is where we're going to maybe, what does it say? network printer mapping, so we're going to do one of those. We've already done the network drive mapping, so we've done these first three. A script for installing an application, and we want to do the network printer mapping as well. So it's only really those two things. So let's go the software installation. There isn't one there, so we're going to go right mouse click new, package, and we're going to find the package. It's in our RAID 5. So what we don't want to do is point to it as a local drive. We need to go to our network. So network, actually I'm going to go double backslash, can I go Control V? Control V, no I can't. Double backslash bmw.local backslash corporate data backslash MSIs. Okay, so now we're using the namespace, and I'm going to put in, say, edit pad light, and I want this advanced, and the deployment is going to be assigned, auto install this application, available to 64-bit machines. It's 32-bit application. Yep, that's all okay. So let's go okay. So now we've got edit pad light assigned, which means it's going to deploy it, and it's coming from our DFS. It's not coming from a single server, it's coming from, could be either of two servers. And it's getting that edit pad light MSI program, and it's going to deploy that. It's very tiny, this program. It deploys really, really fast. Okay, so what I want to do is Control E, take a picture of that. Yep. And so in here, we're going to go insert picture, device, and pick the last one, that one there. And so that's some deployment software. Okay, so we've got that in this apply folder redirections, so it's sort of like everything actually. Now the other thing that we need to do is to put another policy in here for the printers. And then that'll be done, and we'll put the picture for that in here as well. So let's cut that there, and we'll put the picture for the printers in here as well. So let's show how to do that. So back on our main server, I can edit out of file exit. Whoops, I need to go OK on that first. File exit. So that was our group policy. Now normally with group policies, you would run a GP update /force on the command line, and that forces out the group policies to all of the clients. It'll do the computers and it'll do the users. Okay, so done successfully. Now the only other thing we need to do is we don't need the DFS up at the moment. We are going to need this group policy up. I'm going to show you how we create another group policy here, but we're going to do it from the print management because we're going to deploy out the printers. So here we've got on our printers, we've got our HP LaserJet. Right mouse click, we want to deploy this via a group policy. So in here we don't have a name for a group policy yet. That's the printer name. So I'm going to browse, failed to query a list of group policy objects linked to this computer. Okay. bmw.local, look in there, domain sites all. Browse. Okay, there isn't one. So what we want to do is we want to create one. The user that applies is it per user. So we'll add that, and we'll also add we could have added per machine as well. Okay, so let's remove all. Let's go all. This is not working very well for the moment. Right mouse click, deploy with group policy. I had to browse and I added those things and went OK. So I'm going to apply it to all computers that this GPO applies per machine. I can actually tick both and add both. And I'm going to go OK. So printer deployment or removal operation succeeded. Okay. So let's go and have a look at our group policy. And I'm going to hit a refresh there. And I think it applied it in here. And if we look at the settings, it can show us like printer connections. And you can see here we've got this path. So apply folder redirections. We've also got this path here. It's created the connection that we deployed via that wizard. So I'm going to screen capture that, Control E, and save that. And I'm going to add that into these other GPO things. So right beside deploying some software, we're going to show how we got the printer there as well. So insert, pictures, this device, 803, and we're going to make it smaller so it sits beside it. Okay, so there's the two things side by side. Okay, so that ends this video, and we'll move, the next video will be for the answer booklet 3, which is mainly just for backups.